Investigators in Saskatchewan are trying to figure out what caused a plane to crash. It happened last night, less than a kilometer from the runway. Miraculously, this is great news, all 25 people on board survived. Members of the community risked their lives pulling people to safety. I mean, all of this was happening while fuel was pouring from the wreckage. RCMP say a number of people suffered injuries. Some were taken to hospital by air ambulance. This is where that crash happened. It is near the town of Fond-du-Lac, around 6:15 p.m. local time. And just take a look at this image. It comes from the scene, and it shows the incredible damage to the aircraft. One of the passengers on that plane when it crashed is Willie John Laurent. He's a band counselor in Fond-du-Lac First Nation. He was on board with his wife and his daughter. He tells CBC Radio in Regina that the plane started to go sideways shortly after takeoff and broke apart when it crashed a short distance from the airport.
A few seconds, maybe 10 seconds or maybe whatever, it took off and then off the runway, and then it started right after off the runway. It started moving sideways, like a sideways at the wing side and the other side, the fourth side. And that's when it touched the ground. That I can remember. Since then, I couldn't remember nothing, and it's just like a dream. So I know I was on a window side where I was sitting, and my wife was beside me, and that's my disabled Amanda, my daughter. She across from us, but the plane it's broke like from the captain just before. That's where it broke open.
Wow, what a story. We've got CBC's Olivia Stefanovich getting more details. She joins me live from Regina. What have you learned, Olivia?
Well, Suhana, we're starting to piece together what happened from the passengers themselves. They say they boarded a West Wind Aviation aircraft ATR-42 yesterday around supper hour in northern Saskatchewan in the small, tight-knit community of Fond-du-Lac. And as you heard in the clip from the passenger, the aircraft started to shift side to side when they were just about to take off. Then in the air, shortly after they did take off, the airplane crash landed in a forested area. Passengers describe a chaotic scene, but thankfully they were rescued by RCMP and, of course, members of the community. I want you to take a listen to a little bit more of what some of the passengers had to say.
Good thing is no fire, no flame, so and all the fuel are running. Lots of fuel was spilling there. You could smell it. Where we were sitting were a bunch of people, so that's at the where the broken the end, so it crushed together. So everybody was trapped on my side. So, and I crawled over the seat because the eye is all crushed. There's no eye because it all bent together.
Now, many of those passengers were airlifted to hospital because of serious injuries. And we did speak to one woman whose mother and sister are in Saskatoon Hospital right now because of that.
Everybody in the community, they did a real good job in responding to the crash and getting the people rescued. And the coordinated efforts, I have to say, is I'm so happy and glad that they got everybody out of there. And
So as you heard, Suanna, we're just starting to learn the extent of the injuries, but luckily no one was killed. There were 22 passengers on board and 3 crew members. We are hearing from Saskatchewan Premier Brad Wall this morning, who tweeted that he is relieved that everyone is safe and that there were no fatalities. Now, many people who were on board that plane are thanking the community too of Fond-du-Lac because, as you said, many people risked their lives to pull people from the wreckage, even though fuel was spilling out.
And what are investigators doing today, Olivia?
Well, we understand 2 investigators from the Transportation Safety Board are going to the community of Fond-du-Lac this morning. They will take, of course, new pictures of the site, and they will be looking for flight data recorders to find out what exactly happened. Fortunately, because all people survived this crash, they're able to interview passengers and focus on interviews with the crew members and the pilot themselves.
Thank you, Olivia. That's CBC's Olivia Stefanovich in Regina.